Thanks for coming. For those of you who've been to Webster Hall before, welcome back. And for those of you who haven't, what have you been doing all your life? Webster Hall is embarking, as we speak, on a really ambitious restoration project to bring the club back to a lot of the splendor as it existed before. And for those of you who don't know much about the history of Webster Hall, it's pretty rich and amazing, and I put together a little presentation to kind of give you a sense of what the space was like in its past and where it's going to be going in its future. This, I think, is a picture from about 1905 of some garment workers gathering here. Webster Hall originally was a meeting place. Was one of the first meeting spaces built in the village. It was constructed in 1882. This took place here a couple of years ago. Obviously, the room looks a little bit different. So, built in 1882, the space is over 120 years old, and one of the things we're very excited about is it's in its final stages of being designated a historical landmark. So a lot of things are actually happening at once, including the beginnings of Webster Hall Digital. This is a poster of a ball that was held here in the early 1900s. Webster Hall's name back in the turn of the century colloquially became known as the Devil's Playhouse for all of the kinds of bohemian and interesting events that went on. There's a lot of history that happened here that people aren't aware of that we're trying to now integrate into the brand that we're trying to bring for the place. For those of you who know Sacco and Vanzetti, who were anarchists who were executed in the early part of the century, the meeting place of the defense team was here. It was also the genesis of the art movement, the Dadaist art movement that was Marcel Duchamp brought over from France, and Margaret Sanger, who was a very famous labor protester, led a number of strikes here, and the anti-fascists who were in New York gathered here to condemn Mussolini, beginning of fascism. This is a picture of a ball that took place here probably in about 1915. Amongst other things, Webster Hall is also the birthplace of American burlesque. And for those of you who come to the burlesque nights we have here, you now have some kind of historical context to put it in. This is really just the continuity of something that's been going on in this space for over 100 years. During Prohibition, Webster Hall obviously had a lot of fun. It was one of the centers of the underground party scene in the village, and rumor has it that it was owned by Al Capone, or at least Al Capone was one of the secret investors, and the police tried their best to try to find out that by apparently going so far as to bug the basement. And then a lot of technology actually happened here, which fits in very well with what we're trying to do today. In the 40s and 50s, RCA recognized how beautiful the acoustics in the room were, and they took over the space for the decades of the 40s and 50s, and Webster Hall during that period of time was known as Webster Hall Studios. And actually, where those guys are standing over there, you'll see in a minute, there used to be a sound booth on the floor, which is no longer there, but the RCA sound engineers actually developed high-fidelity sound and stereophonic recording in this room, and the first stereophonic recordings were done here in 1953. I believe it was a Henry Mancini album. And here you can see Harry Belafonte sitting in what was the recording booth that no longer is there. And there's Elvis Presley sitting on the floor of Webster Hall. You can see there's pretty much a who's who of guys recorded here. Julie Andrews, Woody Allen, the cast albums of Hello Dolly, Fiddler on the Roof, all done on this stage. In the 80s, for those of you who are old enough to remember, Webster Hall from 1980 to 1987 was known as the Ritz. And amongst other things, U2 played their first ever show on American soil here at Webster Hall. And then the list of other bands that followed is, you know, I could go on and on. Tina Turner's first solo show here. So if you're seeing the movie What's Love Got to Do With It, when she went solo, her first performance was here. Ray Charles, Eric Clapton, the Stones, Springsteen, Kiss, Madonna, lots more. So the restoration of Webster Hall, starting about 2 months ago, a project was begun to basically take this room and restore it as much as we can to the original way it was, the deco trappings that were here in the 30s and 40s. The upstairs balcony is going to become a very upscale VIP section. There's going to be some of the top DJs in the world are going to be coming here and performing their dance shows. A lot of you probably come here for the Bowery shows that are done here, where a lot of the up-and-coming rock and roll acts are here. And Webster Hall Digital was launched to try to figure out how to integrate all of this video and online and social media technology that's really second nature to people who are 18 to 30. Webster Hall gets probably about 500,000 kids a year coming here. So for those of you who have companies that you're starting up or working at that are trying to figure out how to get their technology before a diverse audience of about 500,000 kids a year, this is a good place to think about. And if you haven't noticed, if you've got a laptop or not, there's now full Wi-Fi in the room. We're going to be doing some very interesting things with mobile technology and really try to make a place that feels like it has an old historical feeling, but blended with very modern technology. And this is the room we're sitting in now. There was an incredible chandelier that we may try to, one way or another, restore or have something else that gives that feel. This is the cast album of the Broadway show, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. You can see there was some really beautiful deco patterns on the balconies. A lot of that's going to be restored, and there's going to be a lot of new things. So that's the end of my slideshow. I really wanted to show you guys one more thing that I thought was pretty interesting. If I can get to my desktop. In 1980, the Ramones played here, and somebody shot this video from a spot which is probably up on the upper balcony there where that fan is, and we're all constantly blown away when we see this, so I figured I would just show you guys. It sort of speaks for itself. Don't try this at home. So somebody apparently launched themselves about 30 feet off the top balcony into a slam dancing crowd. Just thought you'd enjoy that. So please don't do it, but have fun.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions for Brian about the history of Webster Hall or what's in store for the future?
Hi, I'm just wondering how you're going to maintain or restore the look while maintaining the modern acoustics, all these big speaker systems?
Well, I mean, acoustically, the room, there's not going to be that many changes, I don't think, to the existing sound. Probably this railing that you see up here, which was the black area across the upper deck, which was put in only because there's a sound wall behind it, is going to be removed, and it's going to be open railing, which is going to be making the sight lines much better than it has been probably for the last 20 years or so when that wall was here. And some of these architectural elements that were gradually added here over time may be taken off. But for the most part, it's a matter of simply cleaning it up and making it beautiful and relighting. The proscenium was lit back in the day, and that's an element that's probably been here since, I don't know, the 30s or 40s. So we're not going to change all that much, just basically make the room beautiful again. One of the things I wanted to add was Webster Hall and Webster Hall Digital, as we're doing this renovation, we're looking for some good talent of our own to help us with the video efforts we're going to be doing here and the web development we're going to be doing. So if any of you know some great talent, please come and talk to me and let me know and drop me a business card. Anybody else? Okay, thanks.